Yes, yesterday Julius Malema arrived in Kenya and he attended some meetings around Nairobi. But to my surprise, he came out to attack William Ruto and calling him out on failing to deliver the promises he promised in the 2022 general elections. We have always known Julius Malema as an ardent supporter of William Ruto, basing on what William Ruto passed through in the 2022 general election. We all know the system was combined to defeat William Ruto. Okay? But this didn't come to pass. Even when Raila Amolo Odinga went into the courts and later the courts ruled otherwise, when Raila Odinga went on the streets to cause mayhem, Julius Malema called him out. In fact, if you have forgotten, let me first give you the video as Julius Malema was calling out Raila Amolo Odinga for the continued mayhem in Kenya. Here is the tape.
EFF applauds the people of Kenya for engaging in a peaceful election which saw President William Ruto elected as the new president of Kenya. President Ruto must thus form part of the efforts of building an independent continent which is free from war and poverty. This morning, I spoke to President-elect William Ruto and congratulated him for winning the democratic elections in Kenya. We encouraged President Ruto to handle and preside over the transition with maximum care in a manner that must not degenerate into violent confrontations. We call on Mr. Raila Odinga to accept the election outcome and not form part of a tradition of causing instability and uncertainty on African governance. Mr. Odinga must humble himself and form part of government that will address the challenges confronting the people of Kenya and not allow history to remember him as an individual who was desperate for power at the cost of the progress of his nation.
So that is Julius Malema. When he arrived in Kenya, very many people were surprised that he went on to attack the sitting president, William Ruto, saying that he has failed to deliver on his promises. Okay? So in this video, I've come to talk about this. But before I do this, I want to let you know that if you're new to this channel, please subscribe. And if you're watching this video from a different platform, please head on to YouTube, type in Sula Mawagali. There is a lot of content of this nature. If geopolitics and economics is what you want, this will be definitely the right channel for you to subscribe to. So Julius Malema arrived in Nairobi and he was able to speak on a lot of things, including pan-Africanism. Okay? I kept on telling people that Kenya is among, if not the biggest democracy in East and Central Africa. Kenya is where an opposition leader can go on and oppose and do anything to the government, and the next day is in State House shaking hands. Kenya is where an opposition leader can invite anyone outside the country and they insult the president freely and they go back. That is the truth. In Uganda here, you cannot do it. I remember when Bobi Wine invited Babu Owino in Uganda and he was denied entry. So I give kudos to Kenya. In fact, other East African countries must copy this from Kenya. So when Julius Malema stood up to speak, he went on to attack William Ruto for bringing King Charles to Kenya and not asking for apology from him, because you all know most African countries were colonized by Britain and they did a lot of atrocities. So when King Charles came to Kenya, he never mentioned anything. He even never apologized on this. So Julius Malema came out and attacked him. Julius Malema also went on to say that William Ruto has failed to deliver on his promise. Let me first give you the video as Julius Malema was doing this before I proceed. Here's the tape.
I don't know if President William Ruto means it, because he said so many things and I can't locate him these days, because the things he said during election and the things he's doing now are two different things. I don't know. I heard him saying we need to do away with the dollar and build our own currency, but his actions are not speaking to anything of doing away with the dollar. The Pan-African call is a call for African unity, not cooperation, collaboration, or coexistence. Many of you confuse the unity of Africa to mean collaboration or cooperation. We don't want to cooperate, we don't want to collaborate, we want to be one, and being one means we must share the same vision and the same direction.
So that is Julius Malema. Okay? So for me, it further shows that Kenya is a big democracy in East Africa. There is no way an opposition politician can come in any East African country and speak as Julius Malema did. There is no one. But I also think the reason as to why Julius Malema came into Kenya and said these statements is, one, we all know South African stand on Britain. Because South Africa, I think, got its independence in 1994. It suffered a lot under apartheid. So I think when King Charles came in Kenya, this sparked, this sent shivers down Malema's spine, and Malema decided to travel to Kenya so that he can counter King Charles. And I can also be on Malema's side. Africa still has a lot of colonial names even on their roads. Africa still has colonial names even on their lakes and rivers. How can we still call our lake Victoria, the queen who was in Britain by that time? Why can't we get a local name? Okay? How can we call our river Nile? In Africa, such a river must be having an African name. So on this one, I may stand with Julius Malema. Okay? We must start engaging away from Britain. Okay? In terms of renaming very many cities, renaming our natural resources. Okay? But also I was surprised that he came out and attacked the sitting president. But anyway, that is Kenya. It is the biggest democracy. It is not surprising. And other African countries must copy this. That statement cannot be said in Uganda when you are attacking the sitting president. In fact, if the sitting president knew that you are going to say such things, the first thing is to bar you from entering the country. But of course, Kenya is the biggest democracy. I would expect this to happen. Thank you very much for listening in. If this is your first time on this YouTube channel, I implore you to subscribe, like, and comment so that I can be motivated to do more of such videos. I'll see you on another one. Peace.